Hi, this is Don Devilak. You've reached video number 10 in our video series Pumping Up Sales, and this is about sales tactics and generating the momentum you need. Now, before I get started on the slides, I just want to mention that I've posted about 100 stories about inventors on the website. Some of these inventors have been phenomenally successful, such as Sarah Blakely, who I wrote a column about her when she was doing footless pantyhose before she really got into the developing her whole spandex line, and today she's like $1 billion in sales. There's also a lot of columns like the person who invented the clean shower spray that's really $100 million product. So if you take a look at those videos and go sales stories, you can learn a lot about different tactics. Now, if you go to the search engine box that's on the front page of One Stop Invention Shop, you can put any kind of sales tactics that you want, and the stories where that's really highlighted will come up. Plus, we also have a lot of articles, how-to articles, if you will, posted on the site that will come up really about whatever topic you're looking for. So I highly recommend that, especially in sales tactics, basically what you have is of those 100 stories, there might be 70 different paths people took, 70 different ways they actually went about getting into the marketplace. And it's really interesting. You might get some good ideas about how you could proceed too if you just look at those stories. So anytime you have an invention question or you have a specific, always go to the search box first. More than likely you'll get some stories about inventors and how they dealt with that problem or that issue. And you might also pull up some of the articles we've written in the past that deal with the topic. I've written about 7 invention books, some of them which were really industry standards at the time. And basically, I've tried to put a lot of that information from those books on the websites in a searchable format so that you can find those articles and really use them to help you during your invention process. Now, basic strategies really for selling, one is just selling direct versus selling through reps or selling through other companies or selling through other representatives. And then there's also the tactic of selling through the internet. Although you can actually combine all 3 tactics, you don't necessarily have to separate them. But basically, you do make the decision on if you want the salesman on your payroll, if you want to use an independent rep, which is a lot less expensive, but you don't have anywhere near as much control. The same as if you're going to partner through other companies who sell complementary products. You get more contacts, you get lower expense, but you have less control. And sales through the internet really depends upon how effectively you can reach your target customer. Sometimes you can reach them very effectively. The internet is good. Other times it's very hard to reach them, and then you really need some widespread distribution outlets. Your distribution channel, if you just go back to video 4, in this series on choosing your distribution channel, there's a lot of information in there too about sales tactics with distribution. But basically you can have your channel. Now a channel, as you know, distribution channel doesn't mean you're selling through distributors. It just means how you're bringing your product to market. So you might want to sell straight to end users, straight to retailers, might want to sell through distributors, might want to sell through integrators, which are people who provide more of a service and a complete product line. You might have other distribution channels you might use, and there's dozens. There's mail order catalogs, there's QVC, there's selling through user clubs, there's selling through fundraising groups. A lot of these topics are covered back in video 4. If you go back to video 4 for talking about all the different distribution channels you might look at. And of course, you might sell through partners, which are companies with complementary products or companies that are serving the same target customer you are. Might be through a service group or some other group that you might decide to distribute your product. So the first option you have really is selling direct. Direct sales just means that these people are your employees, that you hire them and they work for you. So they could be a different kinds of direct sales. You might have a key account manager. This is a person who might do licensing for you, might do private label for you, might set up deals with other marketers and companies who have complementary products, and you might call on the big accounts that you have. You really want to devote a lot of attention to those accounts because they give you the best bang for the buck, and you need a really experienced salesperson, or sometimes it's the inventor, depending on their experience in sales. But you want somebody with experience in the industry and experience getting those accounts in that position. Other times you might want an inside sales force, and this is really good when you need a lot of product support or hand-holding to help the customer get through the buying decision. I work with an acoustical company, and they sell acoustical tiles to architects and interior designers who specify products, for their projects. Well, in this case, they're in catalogs, industry catalogs, where people go to look for these products. They go to trade shows and they advertise in trade magazines, and so they can get people to contact them. And then the inside sales force is really good at providing them the support they need to actually make their decisions. An outside sales force is pretty expensive for most inventors. It's usually $200 to $300 a call, and they can only make 3 to 4 calls in a day, sometimes less, depending on what market you're in. So it's an expensive proposition, but it sometimes, if it is a good avenue if you really have big accounts. So if you sell some an account, you can really get a large sale. But overall, it's usually not used too much for sale. Inventors are more likely to use reps, because reps you're paying just a commission to, and also the reps have already an established market base, whereas if you hire somebody, an outside sales force, and they don't have a lot of industry experience, they really don't have contacts built up. The advantages of really having a selling direct is, one, is you have full control of the salesperson, which is good, and you also get 100% of their effort dedicated to the product. Any of these other avenues, like joining up with a complementary products manufacturer, an inventor, or reps, you can't really dictate to them how much of their effort they're really putting into your product. The disadvantages of selling direct, it's really hard to be cost effective when you first start out. Once you have a certain customer base and they're calling on customers, it's much easier to get that customer to increase sale, or use those customers to kind of improve the distribution or networking so that you can sell in more stores. So it's hard to be cost effective, and usually you need to build a customer base up before you go completely direct. And you might have to do that with reps. Sometimes your key account strategy, can go right away, because you're only going to hire somebody there who has a lot of industry experience and has a lot of contacts already built up. Selling through reps. Now, selling through reps, these are independent representatives. They might have 10 to 12 products in their product line. Usually their product line is totally focused on a certain market. They may not be selling complementary products. A complementary product would be a product that works with yours to give a solution, but they might be selling other products into your target market, that are for different problems, different solutions. And so the advantage to them, of course, is they have a built-in customer base. They're already having an income. And they're probably making $60,000 to $70,000 a year, and some of them make a lot more than that, and they're making 5% commission to 10, maybe 15% commission, all depending on the arrangements with the manufacturers. But the point is, they've already making sales. They already have a sales base, and they're already successful. The other advantage is they know the industry and how it works. So sometimes reps are really vital to a company starting, because the founder or the inventor doesn't always know the industry, doesn't always know it that well, doesn't know how to have contacts, like to have a friendly store or a friendly customer who can actually work with you to kind of test out your product, see where it works best in the store, test out your packaging. Of course, reps can be hard to find. It's not like you just go out and they're dropping off trees. But some of the solutions to finding those reps is you can try trade directories. You can look at attendees at industry events and trade shows, or anything about association meetings. If you're looking at that, you'll see reps in there, and you'll see that some companies are manufacturing ink, and other companies don't use the word manufacturing or don't use the word products. And there's a very good chance those are reps, and you can just call them up and see what exactly they are. Sometimes they will still be a company that manufactures or sells a product, but sometimes they will be reps. And then you can ask the network contacts or people you've met at trade shows or associations or maybe in your local area or your chamber of commerce even, who are some reps that you can get referrals to. And the One Stop Invention Shop sells a list of reps at our website. So we have a list of reps for about 15 to 20 industries. Actually, I see there's a mistake on the site. It's onestopinventionshop.net.com. So useful tactics, these are kind of tactics that people are using when they're setting up their sales organization. You have a key account strategies, and you always should put a lot of emphasis on your key accounts because these are the companies that are going to really drive your profitability. They're bigger customers or they're a private label customer, the kind of deals you set up really define a sales base for your company so you have volume. This is also important if you have a manufacturer that you're working with and you're wanting the manufacturer to help fund certain parts of your introduction costs, giving you extended terms, maybe amortizing tooling or doing other things. If you have really a strong key account program that really gives the manufacturer a lot of assurance that you're going to be giving the manufacturer enough volume to really justify his his investment. Specialist strategy is where you just have different specialists for different applications. So you might have a specialist calling on Target, Walmart, mass merchandise. You might have another specialist who's working on kitchen stores. You might have another specialist who works with reps. So you can separate these people by the markets they're doing or how much technical expertise they need. A lot of times companies will try to go with leasing options and time payment if you can afford that and your manufacturer can support that. Contests for your distributors, contacts for your sales force gets them doing a lot more, promoting your product. And so this is a tactic some companies use a lot. Loyalty programs is another program I personally like. So if you have distribution channels or you have distributors, sales reps, anything you have, if you give a certain reward for a certain amount of effort so that they get a bigger and bigger reward as they increase their sales or increase the sales they make for you. Training for distribution is often overlooked. So basically, and this is one of the reasons I like YouTube and I like webinars, because you can go in and people say, oh yeah, I know what your product does, but in reality they don't. And so if you can have some YouTube videos or actually go into a store and train the distribution channel or your sales reps or whoever you're representing you exactly how to use your product, that's very important. Co-op advertising. A lot of companies will talk to you about it. So when they send out a flyer, they have an ad or they have a program, they'll want you to pay for part of that cost. And usually that's not a bad strategy as long as you limit your exposure. So you might say, yes, I'll run this co-op program, but I'm only willing to pay $150. And it's also very advantageous if you have these co-op programs. Instead of paying cash, you give them credits for a certain amount of merchandise. So instead of giving them $150, you say, well, I'll give you a dozen of my products that you can then sell in the store and you won't have to pay for them. You always prefer that. And cross promotions with other companies in the industry are always powerful, where maybe if someone buys their product, you give them a commission if they sell yours, or they get a coupon or contest or something coming back to your site. I've talked about these quite a bit too in motivating customers to buy, but I like to bring them up again because these are tactics that really do work well. Now, a key account strategy, you have a key accounts manager, but of course, these are customers you really want, and you really want them right from the beginning. So if you can make a key account strategy and you have a big kickoff meeting and things like this, some of the advantages it gives you, it really can get you special attention from the top management at the companies or the management you really need. I mean, you could be offering these key accounts discounts for a volume commitment. You could offer advertising support. You could coordinate with these key accounts at trade shows, which is makes their booth, if they're a distributor or someone in the distribution channel, a lot better. If you contribute to that booth and you have a really great display for your product, it's much better for you to do that with a key account. If you're going after end users, if you're, of course, going after other key accounts, then you want to have your own booth. You could provide co-op advertising programs or other types of programs that you only offer to the key accounts. And that's one of the things that you want to stress when you're setting up a key accounts, that you're offering that company support that you're not offering anybody else. So it's sort of like an exclusive arrangement or a special arrangement, and companies will like to see that you're doing that. And you want to do this with companies that are big enough to really supply enough sales to you to kind of give you a base of business. Now, there's a lot of ways to make internet sales. And you can sell on eBay. You can post your product on eBay. You can do sites like Amazon. Now, Amazon's effectiveness really depends upon how assured you are that the people are going to put in a search term where you'll come up, and also just how many other products are on Amazon in that category. So, for example, if you've got a real nice pin for women that they can wear on their overcoats, well, if you go pins or brooches and you put that into the search term, there's like 300 products in there. And so it's hard for you really to make sales on Amazon in that case, because it's hard for the buyers to walk through and get your product, and you won't have any stars for reviews or anything like that. But on the other hand, if you have a category that's much smaller, and where the search term, people will know the search term, then Amazon works pretty well. The one danger in Amazon is that retailers and distributors and other people in the other distribution channels don't like to see you on Amazon, because Amazon always is cutting the price. So be cautious before you jump into Amazon. Talk to your network contacts and gauge how much this will help or hurt you. You can also sell through your own website. You can sell through catalog type websites. Now, a catalog website is a company that provides a lot of products that are for a certain industry, and some catalog types are just really duplicates of a catalog you might get in the mail. So if you go to Solutions catalog, they'll have a catalog page, and it'll all be solutions-oriented products, and they'll be in different industries. You might also go to a Williams-Sonoma catalog, and then you'll see all kitchen products. Beeline, I've mentioned this in some of my videos before. If you go to their site, you'll see a catalog site for all types of electrical products that an electrician might use. You can use Facebook. You can have a fan group. You can offer your fan group special deals and special promotions, and this will also help drive business, and this is more end-user oriented. Retailers usually don't mind the fan book deals. What they really don't like about Amazon is Amazon selling for a third less than they are. So if you have something on Facebook or other type of things on your own site, as long as you're selling at the same price, suggested retail price that the other people in the market are selling it for your distribution channels, then they're usually not too upset. Rewards-based crowdfunding, I've talked about this quite a bit of times throughout the video series, but the Pebble Watch raised $20 million. The Pebble Watch was a competitor of Apple's watch, and what they just said is, if you give us $100, we'll send you a Pebble Watch when they become available, and it was just tremendous sales success. You can also create your own special interest community, based upon what kind of product group you're selling to, and then that's also a very effective way to make sales if you can develop that community into something that consumers are going to want to come to and visit now and then. I mentioned crowdfunding, and it's really getting popular. I just listed a bunch of sites here. and you can actually do your own crowdfunding if you want, where you're just promising to ship something once you get a certain amount of money raised. And the idea behind this is you need, let's just say, you need $100,000 to produce your product. And if people give you $100,000, you can go and produce your product and then ship them their product, and then you actually generate sales in effect, before you have to spend the money, which is a big advantage to inventors. And all these crowdfundings are really, if you just read the articles, there's all types of articles on the internet about Kickstarter success and all these other units and how well they're working. But it's kind of changing. Inventors used to really be all big on licensing because of the money involved in introducing their own product. But more and more, their inventors are switching over and trying Kickstarter, because if you can get the money to do your first $100,000 production run, all of a sudden now you're ready to go into production, and you can actually go out in the marketplace and sell products, and you've overcome that hurdle of how do you get your startup money. Talked a little about specialist strategy a little bit earlier, but you can just specialist by application market. A lot of people like specialist strategy because, for instance, it gives total effort to one channel. So like if you have salesmen who cover all channels, they'll tend to focus on the one that's maybe the one where they'll get the most sales, and then they might overlook other channels that are smaller. So a lot of companies, what they'll do is, for instance, let's say catalogs and QVC only are going to represent 15% of the market. And if you have salesmen who cover everything, maybe they'll neglect that channel. But if you have a specialist devoted to it and they spend all their time to get those sales, it really helps the company. Plus, there's the different markets sometimes require people with different contacts, different knowledge, and knowing how to work a little bit differently. So, for instance, selling to catalogs and selling to QVC is way different than selling to retailers. So it wouldn't be uncommon to have a specialist into each channel. And you could have a specialist for direct sales. You can have reps also that are specialists, and you can assign like QVC to one rep and still have a rep in that area who's calling on retailers. So the specialist has the advantage of better customer support, better relatedness. You're giving a person who really knows that industry, to those customers to work with them and get the product out and really answer their needs, because they'll know that. Typically it does improve sales in those channels because you have a person there who really knows it. And it really improves the input about what customers want in each channel, which is very positive. The disadvantage, however, is cost. Unless you're using rep groups, sometimes the cost of actually having specialists is pretty high. Now, depending on your product, sometimes your products are more expensive. Not always, but if they are, you really want to take a look at leasing options and time payments, especially if you have end users and you want to sell them something that's maybe $500 or $1,000, or in some cases, like if you have some all-wheel mountain bikes, it might be $2,000 to $3,000. So usually you can arrange with a bank or a finance company or sometimes a credit union to set up that they'll provide the funding, and they'll actually make time payments or leasing options. You can also, factoring is also another way to allow time payments. So what that is mostly is people commit to you that they'll make these payments. And then what happens is you sell that commitment to a factoring company, and they'll give you 92% of the money right up front, and then they'll take charge of collecting. You're much better off with the bank. Factoring is not the greatest thing, but actually, though, a lot of companies use factoring. If you're going to pay, though, about an 8% penalty, so you need to factor that in. So you can tie in product support with this. Monthly payments, again, if you don't have the money to do that and you can arrange financing, then the factor is a choice that you might want to look at. And you can also, one of the things, especially if you're selling to industrial accounts, but I find it works too with individuals, is you can say you have these payments, but if you pay up front or within 10 days, you get a 2% or a 10% discount. I'd much rather give a 2% or a 10% or a 5% discount to an individual who paid up front and then have a bigger payment, if they take it on time. But the fact is, most customers won't take that, and that's why you really can get into factoring. Another thing is it's a little dangerous to take time payments on your own. So using the bank or using the factoring company really gives you some protection, and that they don't just take on any loan. They really check people out and make sure that they can pay. Now, I like contests because one of the things, if you're really going to have an internet site and you're really going to have a community, you really need to have people's emails so that you can send them updates, you can send them promotions, you can tell them about what's going on with your company. And having those names really is powerful when you do cross promotions with complementary sites. It puts you in a strong position. I have the names of 2,000 people and users for this type of product, and I'd like to work with you. Well, they'd like to know who those 2,000 people are too, and so it's a good entree for trying to make a cross promotional deal. So you can try to get contests to get people's email. I mean, you don't have to have a real fancy contest, but if you do them at a community site, and in conjunction with the community site, where this is something where they're providing just general information for your community of end users for whatever area your product is in, then they're even more effective. And if you supply some prizes, or they don't have to be that great of prizes, but work with your community group, you can get a lot of names. Of course, you can also have end-user contests, directly end-user, related to your product, distributors or salespeople. But I like to have a community side. For instance, the contest is like who's got the best blog post, or who's got the most innovation usage of their product, or who wrote the best article about it. So you can have contests like that are also very effective, and they're best so if you run them through social media. Loyalty programs is just like an airline program. The more you fly, the more you get. So you also get a lot of site visits with a loyalty program. If you set something up where people can check on how they're doing, or check on their purchases, or see what they have available. I noticed that if you say they build up credits and can use that to buy stuff, people will visit the site just to see where they're at. And when they're visiting the site, then you have an opportunity to sell them your product, or sell them complementary products, or expand your relationship with the program. A lot of times people have a membership like Prime. Amazon Prime is a membership program. You pay 99% per year, and then you get discounts on different things throughout the year, and discounts on videos you might get, things like this. So a lot of times a membership program is a loyalty program. Like, for instance, we have a $9 a month membership program at One Stop, and if you sign up for that, then you get a 25% discount on all the services, which is patent services and product evaluations and other things, and that really gives value back to the user. So that's a good way to build up loyalty programs for your people. And you can do this for all types of people, and I think it's especially useful to small retailers who really would like, for instance, if they're loyal and they buy things, and they get access to contests, they get access to demonstrations, they get access to services that you have that they wouldn't have if they're not a loyal customer. Now, training for distribution. This is another one. Every now and then I tell you that inventors overlook some of the most obvious things that really make them successful, and training for your distribution channel members is one of them. And not only does it help you, it helps the distribution channel. One of the things you do, for instance, if you get a sales rep or a retailer or anybody, and they get your product and they don't know what to do with it, they don't know exactly how to explain it, they don't know how to demonstrate it, you know what happens? They don't do anything, and then your product doesn't sell, and then when the product doesn't sell, they don't order it again, or they send it back. So you want to do that training so people are anxious and willing and enthusiastic about promoting your product. So, consider doing that. And even if you have a big distribution channel, go and see them, maybe every 3 months, and go out and travel around, make joint calls, but explain to them how to sell it. The more support you give your distribution channel, the better trained they are, the more successful they'll be doing your product. And if they're successful selling your product, guess what? They sell it more and more and spend more and more time on it, and you end up getting more and more sales. Co-op advertising, now a lot of times retailers will do this, distribution will do this, internet sites will do this, um, and you'll also have catalogs doing it where you just pay a certain amount to have your product featured in the catalog. For example, in the airlines, they always had Sky Mall. Well, you could easily be in Sky Mall, but you had to pay a co-op advertising fee to be in Sky Mall. And of course, if you got a lot of orders, that was great because you don't mind paying that. But if you didn't pay that, it was hard to get in the Sky Mall because there were people willing to pay it. So these co-op advertising programs, you know, usually are pretty effective. But you want to avoid paying cash, so sometimes you can maybe offer a discount, like you'll give 10% on all products sold through the co-op program, or you could say that you'll pay up to $150. Watch what you're doing though, because you can really run away with expenses on the co-op advertising program. So always put a limit on it, or offer to give free product, or offer to get a discount on products sold to kind of compensate. For example, the 10%, you give 10% discount over and above what the promotion is if it's sold through the co-op program. Well, if the company believes in your product, believes in their program, and really thinks it's going to work, they'll make a lot more money with that 10% discount than they will by getting like $150 off you. But if they're not willing to do that, then I don't know how positive they are really that the program will be successful. And cross promotions, I've talked about this quite a bit in some of the different videos, and I'm repeating it a little bit here because I'm not really sure people are going to go through each and every video. Cross promotions are with the related manufacturers who are serving your same target group but with a non-competitive product. But it's a product that your customer might buy your product, and they might buy their product. And so this is just banding together. It's great for advertising. It's great for trade shows to cut your expenses. It's great if you have events together or seminars together. So what you're doing when you band together is you have a lot more information to offer. You have a lot more things that you can be telling your customers about, and you have a lot more possibilities for that customer coming back and really paying attention to your webinar. The more you're band together, the more information you have, the more value added you are. And of course, your promotional programs to distribution will be a lot more powerful because they have a chance to make a lot more money. So I really like cross promotions for a few other reasons. One, it gives you contact with people with more market knowledge. They've been in the market, and that's very valuable. It also helps you with reps. Maybe they have sales reps already in place that have already been successful and already have contacts. Well, you would like those reps to carry your product too. You're always interested in a good, successful rep. And you want to really align yourself with companies with the market presence. It helps you feel more related to the market instead of somebody coming in from the outside with a new product. But the main thing is you're getting a much bigger bang for your buck with cross promotions, and it's really something you should really investigate.